If this is the last video you see of me, I have been run over by a hay cart while my evil rat overlord is yelling at me to tell hell that he sent me. And I think there's only one reaction to that. Cheers. Welcome back, everybody, to me doing the thing that I always do on Mondays, and that is, of course, the weekly Navel-Gazing, where I talk about all the books I read last week and all the books I plan to read this week, and all the videos I did not make last week, and all the videos I made last week, and all the videos that I plan to do in the coming days, sort of. And then it all descends into madness, as always. So, let's get started, right? Alright, I did read books last week. I did finish Metal from Heaven by August Clarke, which I really, really enjoyed. It's a wonderful book. Go read it. And then, because I like to punish myself, I decided I should reread the Mistborn Era 1 trilogy by Brandon Sanderson to have context for the really, really good the Metal from Heaven book when I would make a video about it. And that's what I did. And it's not good. So I reread, and I read those like over a decade ago. I don't exactly know when, but it must have been prior to 2012, so possibly prior to 2010. Who knows? It's all a bit of a blur. My point is, I reread both The Final Empire, The Well of Ascension, and The Hero of Ages, and I have so many thoughts on them. They are not very good books, and there will be videos on those coming relatively soon, once the Sanderstorm will begin. Until then, I don't know, don't read those books, they suck. So that's something I did. I also started reading Redwall by Brian Jacques, which is apparently how you pronounce that, and not Brian Jacques, which is what I would say looking at the spelling, which is, of course, happening for Mousemess, or whatever we want to call it, this year. And that is something I started, and it's really cool. I love it. It's so good. So yeah, everyone go read, go read Redwall, is what I'm saying. Also, I think you can watch the old Redwall cartoon shows on YouTube for free if you feel like it. So I don't know, maybe do that. So that's something I read. Did I read more? I think I'm not quite sure if I read the non-fiction book on Joseph Smith's presidential campaign last week or this week. If it was this week, then yes, I also read Joseph Smith, The Prophet, The Assassins, and the Fight for American Religious Freedom by Spencer W. McBride. And yeah, it's a book. That's all I have to say on it. It's a book. Very good. I think that's all. No, and I also read or reread Robert Paxton's The Anatomy of Fascism, which is apparently free on Audible Plus for the rest of the month. So go read that book. It's important. You should read it. You should have read it like years ago. It is still a very, very good book. Highly recommend it. And as I said, if you have an Audible account, it's currently free. What do you have to lose? So that's all the books I read last week. So quite a lot, if I say so myself. What do I plan to read this week? Well, Redwall. Since we are getting very close to Mousemess, I have to read a lot of Redwall books. Luckily, there's 22 of them, and I only have to read 13. So I will read, well, or reread, or whatever you want to call it, Redwall, until I've made the video. I will read the next one, which I already have forgotten the name. No, the second one is Mossflower. And there is one called Matimeo, and then there is Mariel of Redwall, and lots of others. So yeah. Redwall books by Brian Jacques in publication order is the plan. Possibly other books will slip in if I need a break from all that Redwalling. May have to look up some stuff on Mormons from time to time. We will find out, but basically it's Redwall or die, which is what most of the furry animals in Redwall also do. I mean, dying. So yeah, that's the plans for reading. Unless something else comes up that I feel strongly about, which is, always a possibility. Yeah, videos. Let's talk about them. I did watch some, I did wake some. I did, in fact, make a video on Metal from Heaven by August Clarke. It came out yesterday. If you haven't watched it yet, well, go read the book and then watch the video, is what I'm saying. That's the one that I've managed to publish. The other thing that I have been working on is, of course, the Mormonism monstrosity. It is happening. I have finally reached the point where I think I better have to live with, the the first large part which is on Joseph Smith and early Mormonism, it is rendering as we speak. So if you hear a loud buzzing noise in the background, that is my computer struggling with the render, but I don't want to, stop it for the process of recording this video because, time and all of that. So yeah. It is happening. It's a monstrosity. The part on early Mormonism until the death of Joseph Smith is already like over an hour long. Those of you who really hate me making long videos, you're going to love this one. Trust me. And that's sort of like all I did last week. The plan is, of course, to, in addition to, the morning breakfast writing and productivity sprints, which I obviously also continued. So what about videos this week? Well, it's Redwall and Mormons. That's all I have for you. The plan right now is to record as much as possible of the Mormonism video while I'm still around here and see how far I can get with this. We'll find out. I would love to have this video out before the end of the year. I mean, the dream would be for it to be out tomorrow so y'all can, waste your Christmas Eve with something really, really unproductive. But there may just be too much work involved in that. Otherwise, I'll try to do as much Mormonism as possible today. And then there will be Redwall videos. We talk about Nausmas. Maybe this time I'll actually manage to get it done in 13 nights, 13 days. Last year that kind of failed for technical reasons and other reasons, but the goal is to have these videos up one every day from the 25th onwards, and they will follow those Redwall books one by one. That's the plan. We will see if I can manage this. The other part is, of course, that on Friday, the 28th, that's the 28th, yes. On Friday the 28th, there will be a live stream, as always, the thing. I'll have beers, we'll talk about whatever comes up. I would love to have a guest. I don't have a guest yet. If I can come up with someone who wants to join me, then that will happen, unless, if you are a booktuber and feel like joining me, or if you otherwise feel that you want to be on for a conversation, you can always message me and we can work this out. Otherwise, see you all on the 28th for just some general stuff. That's the plan for right now. So let's continue talking for a while because life continues, and some things that I've learned is like with the Mormonism video. I'm very happy that it is finally. I finally reached a point where I am. Well, not happy with the result, but at least resigned to the fact that I can't necessarily make it any better with, the skills I have at the moment, the technical capabilities I have, or anything else. This is what it has to be, or it will never come out, and that's something I don't want to do. And I've learned a lot about my process there because, see, usually what I do with a video like this, I'll sit down and I will record one chapter of the larger video, and then I'll record the next part, and so forth, and so forth. And the idea is to then put them all together. Now, what I've learned is that with Mormonism in particular, that doesn't necessarily work. Obviously, usually in the past, when I've recorded one of those parts, I then realized that it wasn't good, so I re-recorded it, and I have re-recorded the part of Joseph Smith numerous times before the one that I'm now settling on. And what I've realized is that improvising something with as much information as this specific video needs is kind of hard, right? It's not easy because I need to keep all the dates, all the names, all that crap in my brain. It needs to make sense, all of these things, and it's kind of hard. So a lot of these recordings kind of failed, or I recorded it and then I realized, oh shit, I forgot something. And so what I realized, and it took me a while to get there, is that I need to break it down in smaller bits and then put them together to one chapter and then record the next chapter, possibly also in smaller parts and so forth. And that took a while for me to realize. And partly that is just, the fact that the way I work, I put stuff into segments that feel like closed to me, right? It's like I want to have one coherent segment, and that's what I record, and then I'll do the next coherent thing. So chapters is one specific unit where I'm like, yeah, this is kind of makes sense to my brain, so I can work with this. And the other part is, of course, that if I take smaller bits that I then put like into one chapter, I need to edit those together, which means, cutting off the endings, building up to a jump cut, and like every time I have to do video editing of that sort and cutting stuff, that's rough for me. Like, it takes a lot of work because, what I have to do is like basically play the video clip, listen to my voice until the point comes where I don't want this now. Then I cut it there by using FFmpeg on the command line and all of that stuff. Double check if the cut works. Now all of that I can only do by ear. And I still feel, because I can't see how bad it looks, right? I always feel insecure about these kind of cuts, so I try to avoid them as much as possible. And that's certainly where I'm struggling with this editing. But I figured that, there's no other way. I have to break this down into smaller bits and pieces. And I started doing that, and then I was unhappy with one of those pieces before, so I re-recorded, and I did that yesterday. The other part is, of course, that my camera tends to overheat after roughly like half an hour of recording. Depends. Sometimes it's a bit more, sometimes it's a bit less. Depends on how warm my room is. All of these things, which is why oftentimes in winter it's great, right? I can open my window and I can wait until my room is cooled down to like very low temperatures, and then I can record longer, which is great. Sort of. It feels bad. It feels wrong in a lot of ways. But it also means that once I've recorded a part, I need to wait for my camera to cool down again, then record the next part, and so forth. And all of that means that recording takes longer than it should, and then rendering and editing obviously also takes time. But it means that even if I would, basically rant my whole like thing that I want to say about Mormonism in like one big go, I can't do that. Even if I wanted to do that, it's impossible. It just takes time to do that, and that's certainly something that I'm coming to terms with. The whole like translating the thing that is in my head into something that is on screen for you, and the way that I'm trying to get there. That translation process is very much making compromises with reality, and I'm not very good at making compromises with reality in general. So going through this certainly took some time, took some effort, and so forth. And I feel I'm on a good way now. I mean, there's like these like smaller other things that kind of come into this, right? Like, for example, last week, 2 weeks ago. That's like 2 weeks ago now. It's been a while now. I had a bit of an accident. I took a fall, and that resulted in me hurting my teeth, which is no worries, right? Like, I'm fine. I'm safe. You can see that, but what happened is that for a while it felt like I was lisping more than usual because, your mouth feels slightly different, and suddenly, if you already have like a problem with lisping, like I sometimes do, once things feel different, it felt like I was lisping even more, and that is something that like, I don't want to record now. It sounds terrible, right? Add to that like the insecurity that like most of us have when we hear our own recorded voice, and this became very, very torturous, and I'm very much unhappy with the video and how it sounds in that regard, but it's something I can't change unless I wait forever, and if I wait even longer, I don't know if I'll ever make the video. And that's the other part, right? It's like, whether we want to admit this or not, and like, mental health comes into that certainly in a lot of ways, but like, a lot of us sort of organize our days, and I certainly do that sometimes, by sort of like arbitrary like deadlines and arbitrary milestones and things like that. And Christmas and New Year's are certainly these kind of dates that feel sort of important because our society has decided that they are important. And even though it fucking doesn't matter at all whether I put this video out on the 24th, the 31st of December, or maybe the 5th of January or whatever, it doesn't fucking matter at all, right? It feels like it wouldn't matter to me, even though I can't actually justify it in any way or form. But the problem is, like, once you have those sort of like vague deadlines in your head, not making those deadlines then impacts sort of like the motivation, impacts like my feelings of self-worth, self-confidence, all of that stuff. And with that whole, video taking forever and ever and ever, it certainly has. I have already taken enough blows to my self-esteem to try and avoid further complications here. That's sort of where I'm at the moment, and I think I found a place or a moment or whatever you want to call it where I where all of these pressures are strong enough for me to overcome the insecurities of actually making the video, where I can actually, at least justify to myself to keep the recordings and not go back and re-edit and rewrite. And just like, I'm not Patrick Rothfuss. This is not the Doors of Stone, right? But I can see, sort of, with like situations like this, I can see why maybe someone like Rothfuss, or possibly even someone like George R. Martin, are struggling so much with finishing a project, because you hang all these like other parts of yourself, you hang them on that one project, and you want to get it right, and it's a bit of a mess, is what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to do today is definitely record as many parts as I humanly can for the Mormonism video, and we'll see how well I do with that, and how much of it I can actually finish. And if you're incredibly lucky, you'll get the video tomorrow. If you're not that lucky, and if I'm not incredibly lucky, you'll get it hopefully on, I don't know, the 29th or the 30th, or possibly on New Year's or Eve or whatever. We'll find out. Obviously, that also means at some point, this being the end of the year, I should probably make some kind of video, like recap of what happened throughout the year. We'll see if I manage to do that. Yeah, we'll find out, I guess. I've seen a lot of videos like top 10 lists. This is I asked all my favorite booktubers for their top 10 lists, and all of these kind of videos come up, all of these collaborations coming up, and those obviously I've watched some of them, and every time they come up, I'm like, yeah, why isn't anyone ever asking me? And I'm like, obviously because I never do those kind of collabs, so I have never asked anyone else. So I can only blame myself, I guess, but it still feels sort of, that whole point where I sometimes feel like I'm slowly moving very much to the sidelines of the larger booktube community in a lot of ways, because I tend to do things differently. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just, winter depression in a lot of ways. Who knows? But what can I say? I'm really enjoying the Redwall books. I hope you will enjoy the videos, and I hope you will maybe read some Redwall as well. And maybe Mormonism this week. Who knows? I am less pessimistic about it than I was, say, last week or the week before. So something is at least happening. So, good for me, I guess. Good for you, hopefully. And yeah. This being the last sort of like update before the Christmas holidays, Sol Invictus, all of these kind of things. Yeah, I guess thanks for sticking with me. Like, subscribe, share, do all of those wonderful things. Comment if you want to tell me something, whether it's just something fun, whether it's something you've read last week, whether it's a terrible joke you found somewhere. Go ahead. There's a comment section down there. I would enjoy that. Beyond that, I just, wish you all happy holidays of whichever one you're celebrating out there. Go slaughter a bull on the 25th, that kind of stuff. Yeah, have a good time. Try to not let the world burning distract you from that. We need some time to, gather energy as well. So do that. I'll talk to you very soon about something, possibly mice. And yeah, see you around. Cheers.